Hi, and welcome to The Leader's Edge. I'm Emily Chiwa, and I'm joined with my co-host, Georgia Donaldson. We are leadership coaches, and we are on a mission to help you sharpen your competitive advantage and make a positive impact in your organization and communities. Today, we are speaking about leading the green revolution, and Georgia is going to introduce our guest, Ryan Roper, very soon. Before we do that, as usual, I'm going to ask you this question: Green Revolution. What do you think about when you think Green Revolution, climate change, solar, whatever? What are your thoughts on that? Where are you on that scale? Are you one of those people that try to recycle or think that recycling makes no sense? Are you one of those people who are interested in electric cars only because it's cheaper or because you actually care about, the carbon emissions and so on. So just curious, remember, we don't judge. I'm just curious about where you are on that scale. And now I'm going to let Georgia introduce our lovely guest, Ryan, who's going to get us excited, hopefully, about this green revolution.
Yes, thank you very much, Emily. We are here once more, and we have a guest. And this guest is a special individual. He is special because a few things. He's an engineer, and he's been in engineering for quite a few years. He studied overseas and he came back home to Trinidad to contribute to his country, the economy, and his people. And he is now the CEO of CEAL Green. And you're going to be hearing this color and word quite a bit throughout this presentation: CEAL Green. And let me tell you one thing that he has said. He says sustainable energy isn't optional for the Caribbean, it's survival. Ryan Roper, welcome to the Leader's Edge. Why would you say something like that? That sustainable energy isn't optional, it's survival. Talk to us about that, Ryan.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me onto this platform. I very much appreciate it. For the Caribbean, small island development states, we are essentially we are going to be the first people on the planet Earth to experience the impacts of climate change and climate pressures. It doesn't matter for this platform what the reason is for climate change and what's happening to our environment. It's cyclical, yes. We have contributed, yes, but it doesn't matter. The fact is, we're going to be impacted, and we are
Yes.
the small island development states, our coast, because of our geographical location, because we're coastal, we're going to see these changes. And the fact is, the planet isn't. The planet is going to evolve and adapt no matter what. It's our ability as human beings to live in the infrastructure and the built environment that we've become accustomed to. That's going to change. So we are the ones who now are going to have to adapt as well if we want to continue to live in this beautiful paradise, I call it, that is the Caribbean. And if we want our children to have that infrastructure and that ability to continue to live the lifestyle that we've been living for the last 200, 300 years in this area, in this region. And if we don't change, if we don't adapt, if we don't build more resilient infrastructure as one, more energy independent, that is, utilize the natural resources that we have to
Yes.
move things forward. Quite frankly, without electricity, nothing works in our day.
Absolutely.
So you see what's happening geopolitically. I say this comment, this phrase: when elephants fight, the grass gets trampled. And right now, the elephants are fighting. That's the big developed countries. They're fighting over, and again, what they're fighting over is energy independence. For the World War One, World War Two, they were. If for World War Three come, it's always about energy. It's always about energy independence, energy sovereignty. And if
Independence or
the
dominance.
and
Yes.
if
You want to
Caribbean,
control it.
Caribbean can uh, utilize its natural resources to make its own energy, that's why I say it's survival.
It's survival.
Okay, so it's about, you're saying independence, and you're saying that for the Caribbean, it's about utilizing what we have: sunlight, waves, whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
to allow us to produce energy more. Well, just to produce energy, because I don't think any Caribbean country is using this right now in any major way. Can you
Significant.
explain?
Yeah, that's right. So how? So first of all, I want to say I love the fact that you use green revolution because many people say the green transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact is in developed worlds technologically in the fact the inventions have already occurred. Solar is working, geothermal it works,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
wave and tidal they work. Okay, so the invention 100 years ago, the reason why we used oil and gas and oil, let's say oil originally, is because that's what the developed world developed. They developed it, and now they've pushed it on us. Okay, so the inventions of how to utilize the solar, how to utilize the waves, how to utilize the geothermal energy to create power, to create electricity, it was
Mm-hmm.
not focused on before. Now, within the last 20 years especially, solar has boomed from an invention perspective and moving not only from invention but innovation. So we bandy about the word innovation a lot, but
Yes.
innovation is essentially when the first sale has occurred, or when we move from the invention to actually utilizing it in the public domain. So
Okay.
it is utilized in the public domain, but to your point, Emily, we're not using it enough as an everyday occurrence in the
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean. So now that the technology is there, it's time to now make the next leap towards utilization and wide utilization across all of the Caribbean. And why again it's survival, why we need to do this is because the geopolitical powers, they can take the Strait of Hormuz, they can take the Panama Canal. There are many choke points in terms of delivery of energy,
Yeah.
oil and
Yeah.
gas.
Right.
And when they take those, we then suffer because um, for example, St. Kitts, Dominica, St.
Cuba.
Martin,
Right
Cuba,
now.
if
Right
these
now.
can't get to them, they don't have lights. And when you don't have lights, you can't learn, you can't better yourself, you can't get more productivity, and your economy gets stagnated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ryan, you mentioned something. I want us to talk a little now, get to the average person. You talk about utilization. So give us
Yeah.
some examples about utilization.
Right. So in Trinidad and Tobago, utilization is low because electricity is cheap and it's more.
Yes.
That's not a word I should use. It's not cheap. Somebody's paying for
Subsidized.
it. Somebody's paying for it actually, and it's the
Subsidized.
taxpayer. The
Yeah.
taxpayer is paying for it,
Yeah.
and the subsidies. Yes, you think about it from the perspective of it's something that's owed to me as part of the patrimony because of hydrocarbon, etc.
Yeah. Hmm.
And Norway does it, Alaska does it, where you pay the citizens in kind, essentially. But what
Okay.
that does negatively is it doesn't bring the awareness to the normal person in the street
That's
that we need to be more energy efficient.
The
We need
real
to,
cost.
they
that's
don't think about the cost because
Right.
yes.
somebody else in their mind is paying
Mm-hmm.
for it. But really, you are paying for it. So
Yeah.
the removal of the subsidy, one, it helps people to, from a mental perspective, realize that, hey, I'm paying for this, therefore I
Mm-hmm.
need to be more efficient. That's
Right.
one. Another thing that the subsidies cause is companies like state agencies, for example. You don't play apples with apples because essentially it's state to state. You're not paying the full amount. So the long term viability of companies, it's not a long term viability that's sustainable because you're not paying the market prices essentially.
Yeah.
So
I
in terms
understand
of
what you're
subsidy,
saying.
from a leadership perspective,
Mhm.
your personnel, your employees, you're not working in an optimum fashion because you're saying, oh, that's another state agency. You're not
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the competitiveness. So your business
Mm-hmm.
is not competitive enough on a global scale, and therefore
Yeah.
people, back to the word innovation, your people are not innovative enough because the numbers are essentially not accurate from a
Yeah. That makes so much
sustainable.
sense. It's just like it's like we get comfortable
You get comfortable.
Yes.
because we have a cushion,
Mm-hmm.
but in reality, if that cushion is removed, we are no longer as good as we thought we are, and
Mm-hmm.
because of the cushion, we get complacent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're not pushing ourselves, and as you say, being innovative enough to allow ourselves to really compete on an even keel. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an interesting
And when you
point.
don't compete at a global level, you're cheating yourself,
Yeah,
because
it's true.
essentially you're now not operating at the same level as people around the world, right? And even in the Caribbean, because in the rest of the Caribbean, people are competing because they reckon in Jamaica, Barbados, they recognize the price of electricity, and they're moving in the direction that the rest of the world is moving. And consider things like the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. The whole world is moving in that direction, and if we don't move in that direction, we'll get left behind. As,
Mm-hmm.
so as an individual, to answer your question, Georgia, that's
Yes.
why we need to be, as individuals, concerned about this.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned those countries because I was going to ask if there are particular island states that are recognizing it and moving forward. And it's those who have the high electricity costs. I noticed the two countries you named, Barbados and Jamaica, two of the
Yeah.
highest electricity costs. So it's in their
Yes.
best interest, of course,
Yeah.
to
That's
start
right.
leading that green revolution. What
And
about,
again, revolution is the right word because it's happening.
yeah,
It's the people who aren't involved in that revolution, they're going to get left behind.
right. So outside of countries, are there particular industries or maybe even in Trinidad now, any particular industry you see making taking a leading step?
Right, exactly. So I think small and medium enterprises can
Mm-hmm.
make a leading make that step very easily today. There's a
Mm-hmm.
5 cents kilowatt hour per hour surcharge that's been added to commercial businesses here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Can you
So
repeat that? There's a what?
a surcharge, an electricity surcharge, as part
Okay.
of the last budget.
Right.
Oh,
5 cents per kilowatt hour has been added to your bill as
Ah,
for commercial enterprises.
right.
And as you may be aware, the RIC, the Regulatory Commission for Trinidad and Tobago, has already proposed that the electricity price should increase across the board
yes,
for
right.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
Again, to become more competitive and for people to become more aware of how you spend it or how you use electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of these, so the next step really is to become aware of where to begin. And that's what we call the green gap. A lot of people know that carbon is a problem, as you mentioned, Emily, being aware of your carbon footprint. They know that we're creating additional heat, etc. But the question is, where do you begin?
Ah,
Yeah.
How do you begin? People really realize it's so expensive. What do I do? Just put down solar panels? No, the first step really is always energy efficiency. Then
okay.
from understanding how you use your AC, how you use your dryer, for example. These are the high ticket or high cost items in any home. And for a small business, for example,
Mm-hmm.
there are some companies now in Trinidad, I'll call some names, Angostura. They're doing wonderful um, um, feasibility studies and even further in
Oh,
terms of adding solar and others. And there are other uh, businesses that are really looking into it, changing their light bulbs, and really getting to understand energy efficiency and how do I, in light of the pending and already here increases in electricity, where do I begin? And that's what Steel Green is about. We're here to help people understand where to begin on the journey towards, well, just energy efficiency first, and then net zero. How understanding how to get your carbon emissions as an entity, as a person, to zero if you can.
Okay,
okay.
so I love those. Georgia, you were gonna say
No,
the
the
same.
awareness campaign, because you're talking about air conditioning unit in your home and you're talking about your dryer in your
Yeah.
home, which we use every day. And the average person does not understand how we can use those two things to start shortening that gap, the green gap.
Yeah. So I like what he's Ryan said about the green gap, Ryan.
Yes.
That so first step, understand energy efficiency.
Yes.
second step, you said understand how to get to net zero. So any ideas to give us, like, in terms of how to execute on that second step?
Yeah, how are you getting to net zero? So, right, so energy efficiency and awareness. Many people, they leave their AC on. They say, oh, they go to the grocery store. I want my house to be cool when I get back, for example. So they leave the AC on with nobody at home. So these are made minor behavioral changes first, and then when you talk about the first step, for example, it's all about awareness. What doesn't get measured doesn't get done. So you first have to understand, we get to the point, and it's all about utilizing digital means, that sensors, for example. There are now so many gadgets that can be added to our type of AC units. When you go
Okay.
to the States and other places, there's thermostats, right? But I see the AC unit behind you, Emily, for
Yes.
example. They don't have thermostats per se. There's a remote that you have,
Yes, the remote has
the temperatures
the
on it.
temperature
But
on it. Yes.
now there are thermostats and there are sensors that can be added to your AC units that can automatically keep it at 24 degrees, for example,
Okay.
throughout the day. Or there are sensors that we at CEAL Green can add to that AC unit that can sense whether or not you're in the room and go up to 27 or ambient. And then when you get into the room, so it's automated for you. You don't have
I see.
to make those manual changes yourself. That's one example. Another is the AC unit again. There are enough solar powered AC units that you can utilize, which can reduce your electricity bill. Your dryer, for example, again in Barbados, I spend a lot of time in St. Kitts, Barbados, Jamaica, and they use the line a lot, you know. So one thing that we have done, and we have been programmed via TV and American TV a lot, and what we need to start recognizing is that we live in the Caribbean for a reason. When I lived in the UK for a while, and I'll tell you, people save their entire lives, and you've heard of it, jet to holiday, to come
Oh,
to the to come to the Caribbean, and that's the goal of 20, 30 years of work in the cold. Whereas you live here already, and you're
Yeah,
not
we live
advanced.
in paradise, and we just don't
yes.
realize it.
You're
And
not taking advantage.
we squander it.
Because you're looking at TV and you're being programmed to think that outside is better.
It's
Georgia,
better.
you mentioned it. I went to school in the United States. I lived in the UK. I lived in Alaska even for a while. And I come back here because the quality of life here is what people are envious of. And we're
Yes.
not recognizing how important, how to your health, your long-term health, your longevity, and how important it is to your life to be here and take advantage of what we have here in
Yes.
the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So
Green.
Georgia, I'm looking at the time, and I figure we need to
Oh
we
my
need to put a
goodness.
wrap on Ryan. But I mean, this is a
Green.
great conversation. I'm really enjoying it. And I think what is happening, or at least for me, what's happening in this conversation is Ryan making it really simple for us to jump on this green
Yes.
revolution and recognize that saving electricity and being efficient is not just even for our own pockets, but as you said, we are all paying for it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
All of the taxpayers. So if we can save it, then maybe we can have some more money
In our pockets.
for other spends in the country, for
Yeah.
example. So even if we think of it that way, so even if the carbon zero thing seems a little way off for you, like, I'm not in the energy sector, why should I care? I don't need to report on this, I don't need to know that
Mm-hmm.
much. I think making small steps can
Yes.
really add up, because it's a cumulative effect of
Right.
many of us making choices
Mm-hmm.
that allow us to be more green and
Yeah.
to think of sustainability as well as the idea of independence. Because, yes, the point very well made, Ryan made at the beginning too, was the fact that, we are not energy independent, just like we still have, like, we're not food independent either. So these are
That's true.
things that,
That's true.
as countries and as a region, we really, really, really need to
Mm-hmm.
be more mindful of, and individually can also affect collective, right?
Yes.
So Ryan, I just want to thank you. I don't know if there's any closing words you want to say before we go.
Yeah, I want to stay positive. It's small steps, as you say, awareness first and measurement. So understanding which equipment, which tools that you use, or what behaviors that you have that are wasteful, just understanding those and
Yes.
understanding that what we call the addressing the green gap. What can I do today as an individual to better or be more efficient in my utilization of electricity around me?
Yes. I
And
like.
you can still, of course, gain all the benefits of electricity in the long term. And what we're doing is we're staying positive, we're staying with the individual. We can have another conversation where with
Yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago and the industry, that is a little bit more concerning, quite frankly, for Trinidad and Tobago,
Mm-hmm.
where hydrocarbon, we have built. So, one thing I'd like to say is we have a lot of bright people, brilliant people, engineers. I always like to shout out Professor Ken Julian, who has moved us from oil and an oil economy to a gas economy.
Yeah.
And when we talk about why I created Seal Green, I want to follow in his footsteps, for example,
Mm-hmm.
people who have created a whole innovated. That's an
Again.
innovation,
Yes.
a new economy for Trinidad and Tobago. And as we move to the next phase, which is renewables, that's a new mix of energy that
Yeah.
can um, bolster and push our economy forward in the new era.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's a revolution. In order to maintain our ammonia, maintain our economy, because we are so dependent on these
Yes.
downstream products, ammonia,
Yeah.
fertilizer, for example, and when the hydrocarbon runs out, and not just run out from there's no more hydrocarbon, but there's a dearth or there's a lack of feeding the beast, feeding Atlantic, feeding Point Lisas, because you have to maintain a certain BCF per day, for example.
Yes.
Then we're going to be in a lot more trouble from the perspective of maintaining the economy and
Okay.
maintaining our healthcare, maintaining our security, the budget of Trinidad and Tobago. So that's a bigger conversation, but
Yes.
Yes.
even more important. And we all have to get together, be together to solve the solutions that Trinidad and Tobago face.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. In the
Yes,
words of Kermit the Frog, it's not that easy being green.
I love it.
Yes, Georgia. It's not that easy being green, but you know what? I think, as you said, green is life. It's also the color of life. So
Yes.
let's remember that. And
Yes.
Thank you again, Ryan. And maybe we will have you on again to have that bigger conversation.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you,
for
Ryan.
sure. For sure.
Take
Thank
Take
you
care,
so
care.
much.
everyone. Have
Thank
a
you
good
so
one.
much.
Bye.
Bye now.